You are not bad at style. You were sold a generic basics list, told it should work on every woman, and then quietly blamed when it didn't. Today I want to show you why that happened and how to build a wardrobe that actually belongs to you. Chapter 1. It's not your fault. There's something very frustrating about following the rules and still feeling wrong in your clothes. You buy the white shirt, the blazer, the trench, the straight jean, and build the wardrobe you were told a stylish adult woman should have. Yet instead of feeling clearer, you feel flatter. And instead of feeling more like yourself, you feel slightly disguised, as if you've put on someone else's idea of competence. Because disappointment gets turned inward so quickly. Most women do not question the formula, they question themselves, thinking maybe I'm not good at style, or maybe I don't know what suits me, maybe I need to be thinner, taller, richer, more polished, more minimal, more disciplined, more classic, or more current. And that is how the system keeps itself intact. One set of universal essentials gets sold as if it can serve every woman equally, when of course it can't. The same white shirt that feels calm and exact on one woman can feel stiff and lifeless on another. The so-called timeless blazer that sharpens one woman's presence can make another feel boxed in. None of that is failure. It is misalignment. If basics have never worked for you, that does not mean you lack style. It usually means you were sold the wrong translation. A basic only becomes powerful when it belongs to your style identity, and once you understand that, you stop treating every essential as a moral obligation and stop trying to force chemistry where there is none. Hi, I'm Bridget Fisher, and I help women over 40 prove something radical. Aging is your style advantage, not your obstacle, and I do this with German honesty. Welcome to the Aura Club. Chapter 2. The map. My 23-piece system is not another shopping list. It is the spine of a power wardrobe. It is the structure that stops style from feeling random and starts making it feel intentional. When I talk about the 23-piece system, I'm talking about the essential roles that need to be covered in a wardrobe that is going to function with clarity, rhythm, and internal logic. And that logic stays the same even when the season changes. So the fabrics might shift, the layers shift, and the shoes shift, but the structure does not disappear. So here we have spring and summer, which need lighter layers, easier fabrics, and different shoes than autumn winter do. And real life changes, but the map holds. Those roles do not go away. They simply translate differently depending on the season. Chapter 3. Why most basics advice fails. Most basics advice fails not because the effortlessly timeless wardrobe is wrong, but because it is so often presented as if it should be right for everyone. It is a real territory. It is a valid aesthetic language, and for some women it feels elegant, natural, powerful, and completely aligned. For some women, that combination of restraint, polish, and quiet simplicity is exactly right. The problem begins when that territory is treated as the default answer to wardrobe coherence for everyone. The message becomes very clear. If you want a wardrobe that works, it should be neutral, minimal, understated, and quietly polished. It should live in beige, black, white, navy, camel, and cream. And it should speak in blazers, loafers, trousers, shirts, trenches, and fine knits. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. For the right woman, it works beautifully. But not every woman wants to dress in that exact language. And not every woman feels most like herself in understatement. And not every woman wants her version of polish to look restrained, quiet, and socially approved in exactly the same way. Not every woman wants to be translated into the visual language of the effortlessly timeless wardrobe, simply because she wants a system. So that is where most advice begins to fail. It takes one valid expression of coherence and starts treating it as the definition of coherence itself. It confuses one style territory with the entire concept of having a wardrobe that works. But a system is not the same thing as an aesthetic. A system gives a wardrobe structure. It makes sure the essential roles are covered, and it creates logic, rhythm, and function. So that's what I'm after. Aesthetic territory is the visual language through which that structure gets expressed, and those are not the same thing. A woman should not have to adapt the effortlessly timeless territory in order to have clarity. She should not have to dress like someone else in order to have order. That is the real problem. Chapter 4. Find your territory. So before you decide which basics belong in your wardrobe, you need to know your territory. And that question is the basis. I use a simple 2-question style test. So when you shop, are you drawn more to casual or impact? And does your style inspiration come from classics or trends? And your answers place you on the map. Casual and classics leads to effortlessly timeless. Casual and trends leads to relaxed. Modern impact and classics leads to executive edge. And impact and trends leads to avant-garde. Chapter 5. Territory first, always. So if territory drift is the reason why most basics advice fails, then territory clarity is the answer. And this is where I go one step further. I do not just tell women to build better basics, I help them define the right basics for their actual style territory. Because a basic is never just a category. A category only tells you the role. Territory tells you the right expression of that role. And that is exactly where the same wardrobe piece can be perfect for one woman and completely wrong for another, even when both women are technically buying a basic. To show you what I mean, I want to illustrate it with just one of the 23 pieces in the spring-summer checklist, the everyday closed-toe shoe. So we have the same role, but 4 completely different answers. If your territory is effortlessly timeless, think of a simple leather loafer or a clean ballet flat. But if your territory is relaxed modern, look for a square toe loafer or clean leather flats in like warm neutrals or muted tones or with a subtle detail like a soft suede. But if your territory is executive edge, you may want to look for a sharp pointed toe flat or polished loafers in black or navy, or like a strong solid color that brings the right level of precision and authority. But if your territory is avant-garde, you would rather go for an exaggerated toe or an unexpected color or material mix, or a flat with a more directional statement-making shape. So same category, same basic role, completely different answer. And that is the point. Without territory, a woman is just buying items and hoping they somehow turn into identity. And sometimes they do, by accident. Usually they don't. That is also why generic style advice is never exact enough to be truly useful. It tells women to buy a good blazer, invest in better trousers, upgrade their basics, or build a more timeless wardrobe. But it never answers the real question, which is, which version? Which line belongs to her? Which level of softness belongs to her? Which degree of structure gives her authority rather than costume? Which kind of design tension makes her look intentional rather than overdone? That is where exactness starts to matter. And that is why I always say territory first, always. Start with the woman, then translate the item from there. Everything else follows. If you want the full breakdown translated properly for your territory, you can find them linked below. And if you want to go deeper into reclaiming your style after 40 and stop feeling invisible in your own clothes, watch this video here. And always remember, confidence looks good on you.